Hello, friends, family, newcomers, passersby. Welcome to Authenticity the Hard Way podcast. I am your host, Asha Zalika. And first and foremost, I want to thank you for spending time with me. I do not take time lightly. You could be doing other things, but you have chosen to sit and join me for this moment in time. So I want to thank you, and I'm very grateful for your presence. If you are new to Authenticity the Hard Way, um, it's about me sharing my harsh experiences mostly. Um, because I have learned that it's through our harsh, hard experiences, those ones that really shake us, hit us from all sides, oftentimes very traumatic circumstances or situations that shake us, that force us to pay attention to areas of our lives that have been hit. And that's the air coming on. Please forgive me. And that's my AC. It'll probably come on a few times during this recording. So please disregard if you can. And I apologize if it's interrupting. Um, but yeah, so sharing my personal experiences and how they have shaped me, how they have broken me. And that just happens to be where I am right now. I'm just coming freshly out of a few incidences that shook me to my core, um, devastated me at some point, traumatized me. And this is different. Um, so I'm sitting right now with a lot of anxiety. I was thinking before I even started recording, like when I started the podcast 3 years ago now, I didn't have this kind of emotional, I don't know what to call it, this emotional uproar about doing an episode. I just sit down and start talking and sharing because those experiences were from the past. Right now, I am still even a little bit shaky as I do this because this is very fresh. I mean, a month and a half ago type fresh. So I am experiencing anxiety. I am a little shaky. It took me an hour to even sit here, um, get myself mentally prepared to do this, which is interesting because I did an episode yesterday. Today is Thursday, May 21st. Yeah, May 21st. So I did an episode yesterday. And same thing, I was uncertain about doing it, uncertain about how much to share because it's not just my experience, but it involves other people. And on that note, I am I guess here comes a little bit of calm that I'm feeling, a little calm that's washing over me because after I did the episode yesterday, I talked with my daughter and I asked her if she would do a video regarding what I'm about to speak on in this podcast episode. Now, she and I live together. And when I started the podcast and we weren't together, but because I started the YouTube channel last year, we have been, rolling around the idea of she and I doing a video together. We have a lot of stuff that we could share. And she was all for it. And it crossed my mind yesterday. Like I said, I finished the episode yesterday, and I asked her if she would be up to doing a video, giving her side of what we experienced together that I'm going to be sharing in this episode. And she said, sure, which for me is, oh, I think I'm gonna cry. Just so you know, I have a roll of toilet paper right here next to me. If you've seen any of the videos, notice I always have tissue close to me because I'm a crier. But when she nodded her head and said yes, it gave me such a relief because it's a goal. Like authenticity the hard way is not just about me. It's not just about my experiences. I share my experiences to help others, but I would also love to have people come and share their experiences with our listeners or our watchers, because we learn from each other. We learn from each other. So her agreeing just kind of set me through the roof. And another aside bar or part of that is when long before I actually had the idea of authenticity the hard way, I used to sit and watch Jada Pinkett Smith's Red Table Talk. And I would sit there and I'd be like, man, I'd love to sit at that table. I'd love to be a part of that type of environment. Women and men, everyone coming to the table and just talking. That was just so inspiring to me. And then, although I used to watch Oprah off and on, as she was coming up, as I was coming up. And I used to think like, I want to sit there and be interviewed by Oprah, asking me questions about my life. This was years ago, maybe over 10 years ago. That was a goal of mine. And so now here I am, and I have my own platform, and I get to do that. I get to share, and then I get to interview now. So that's just a marker for me, and I'm very happy and excited for how things are turning out for authenticity the hard way. But anyway, so tomorrow we are going to do the video of I believe the series is going to be called Broken. I'm Broken. And I mentioned that in yesterday's episode, part 1. It's like I am broken. What I just went through with my children, it broke me. And for more on that, I would encourage you to listen to part 1. So now, kind of lost my place. Yeah, my daughter will be joining us tomorrow, and that is wonderful. But for me, in this space right now, I'm going to share my side of her experience, because it actually is about her, but it's my side of it. And I still have to be gentle and careful of how I frame it, so as not to offend or bring anyone else into it. So I will do the best that I can. If you've been following me, you know that 2 years ago, October 1st, 2023, ended a 7-year homeless situation for me and my children. So it's me and my youngest, he's 15 now. And then I have older children. My daughter, she's 33 or 32, turning 33. And I have a son under her who is 30. And then I have another son under him who is 28, I believe. So when I say my children, I only have one actual child who is a teenager, but then my other children are adults. And we live together. Me and my daughter, my youngest son, my granddaughter, and her husband, and my middle son share this apartment. And then across from us is my other two sons and my young other son's wife live across from us. So that was a big, big deal for 7 years, almost 8 years. My ultimate goal was to reunite with my children. Our family fell apart. That was very devastating, and we were separated when I was pregnant with my youngest. And so for 7 years, it was my goal, and to reunite with my family. I'm an only child, so family, my children are very, very important to me, especially since I did not have a good relationship with my mother and my father. My father was very abusive and did not like me, and my mother was non-emotional, wasn't present. She was there, but in her own little world, and she drank a lot. So my relationship with my children is the dynamic that we have is very non-conventional. That's a good word, non-conventional. Um, we have a me and my daughter have a mother sister dynamic, and me and my son's mother brother or mother brother fatherly type dynamic. So for me and my daughter, I am her mother, but there have been times where she has mothered me. And we get along like sisters. We argue, bicker, like sisters. I was 19 when I had her, very young. And she was my world. Like as a little girl, I wanted to be a mommy. Like that was my life's goal. I wanted to be a mother. Um, I remember, I think I spoke about it in one of the videos. When I was a little girl, and the teacher would go around. Teacher went around one day and asked all the students what they wanted to be when they grew up, and I said I wanted to be a mommy, and got a little pushback on that. No, actually, you should be a doctor, a lawyer, teacher, blah, blah, blah. I wanted to be a mommy, and when I became a mommy, it was beautiful. That in and of itself, the familial circumstance at that time was not ideal, but it worked. It was not what I had planned and chosen, but her father and I, my children's father and I, my older children's father and I were very much in love, and we wanted a family. So anyway, the dynamic between me and my children is very unique. And I've always been very hands-on with my children. I was there. When they needed me, I was there. In school, I showed up. There was a problem, I was there. So much so that when they were in elementary school, the elementary school principal asked me to come work on campus because we were going through a harsh time, and my sons were acting out. And he watched me interact with them and interact with other children in passing. And uh-oh, sorry about that. He actually got me a job to work on campus. So I've always been very, very active in my children's lives, except for when we were separated. And it was very painful. And I lost a son. I do have an older son who was killed in 2010 while I was pregnant. So, and losing him really changed. It deepened my desire to be close with my children, and rightly so. So anyway, October we moved in here. My daughter was due. My granddaughter was born November 23rd, 2023, or November 25th, 2023. 9 years, y'all. 9 years. My daughter tried and tried to conceive, and it did not work. And then when she had this beautiful little girl, oh wow, how amazing! But once we got settled in here, and in my mind, y'all, I won't, I won't. I'll just tell you, I had this fantasy ideology of what my life would be like when I finally got back with my kids. Us being together, having a good time, and enjoying each other's company, having barbecues, spending time together. Even though we lived in separate apartments, like I wanted to have like once a week we'd have dinner together, go out and do stuff, as a family, just go to the beach, go to the lake, just family stuff. That was my hope, my dream, and building family legacy. Having our own traditions, and my business, which Authenticity the Hard Way is the start of. I just really saw it branching out. Well, my overall business just getting started and branching out into what I envision it to be, with Authenticity the Hard Way, YouTube and podcast just being a small portion of it. This is like the jump off. um, so I had an idea. I had a dream, a hope, a plan for how I thought or how I wanted my family's reunification to look like. But slowly, as we got settled in, things began to change rapidly. My middle son, who I'm very careful on how much I speak. I know that he would not want me to speak much about him, so I will just say that, every family has that one son or that one uncle that you can't take nowhere. That one uncle that you don't want to show up at the family barbecues or at the park because he gonna show up and show out. I have that son, and everything just began to snowball in such a crazy way. When my daughter was giving birth to my granddaughter, my son was being beaten by the police. It was severe. You may have seen it. It went viral. He took the police on a high speed chase through the city, and when the car ran out of gas, he hit a pole. He got out of the car and he laid down. But the an officer jumped out when they got to him and beat him, beat him up pretty badly. So while my daughter was giving birth, he was in the emergency room underneath us getting stitched up. And not long after he was beaten, my daughter's husband was beaten as well. They broke his femur, another high profile case. It was terrible. It was horrible to have both of them in that situation. And we were really trying to piece everything together. I was working exhausted trying to help my daughter. I'm a caregiver. I was working in the special ed department with as a caregiver with developmentally delayed and physically handicapped children, and it took a toll. We had one student that just screamed the entire time, and I'm trying to help my daughter with my granddaughter. Things began to just snowball. I started getting sick over and over. The stress, our finances started flipping. Everything just. I'm trying to hit on key pieces so that I can get to the actual thing that happened. So my son, his lawsuit was finally taken care of. He got his lump sum of money. He went out and he bought cars. He spent his money the way he wanted to spend it. But that energy and him in and out and so many different things happening in my daughter's relationship with her husband, suffice to say that it was chaotic, is the energy that I could use. 2 years of chaos. We have been going through chaos on multiple levels. And then my son-in-law in and out of jail, in and out of jail, in and out of jail. Finances, not being able to pay our bills. I ended up getting sick to the point where I had to stop working. My doctor told me to stop working. My job was making me sick. But in that time, I learned that about my body and being an earth empath. So there's a lot of changes in there during this time. So we're talking about a 2-year spiral downward. And I began drinking again. It increased at the end of 2020, 25, summer of 2025. And I started drinking more. Whereas before we moved here, I was not drinking. I've been through AA. I've been sober. Alcohol was not a problem. Back in the day, I was doing pretty good. But the stress and strain of everything here and the constant changing of our environment, I started drinking. Me and my daughter both, we just started drinking again. And this last time my son-in-law went in, it was traumatic, to say the least, because he had just gotten out and wasn't out even 2-3 good months and went right back in. So for me, I knew that I was heading for trouble, but still doing my best to keep myself and keep my family unit intact as best I could. And I mentioned it in episode number 1. It's like I have my plan. I put bodybuilding aside, and I was focusing on my writing, studying for my bachelor's degree, and the podcast and YouTube channel. But I get so far into making progress, and then wham, something happened, and I would have to stop. And it got to the point where I was like, you know what, I'm sick of this. I'm so tired of not being able to fulfill my goals. Like I was just trying to, could I just get in one episode a week, one episode for the podcast, one video for the YouTube channel? Could I just get, I put myself on a writing challenge for my autobiography. Like I tried so many different things. Could I put out one piece of jewelry a month? Like just trying to maintain me. And it became increasingly harder. The marker that I knew that I personally was heading for something unnameable, I just felt it in my spirit, is in January, all of my past from 9 years ago showed up in my apartment and my apartment complex. I kid you not. So I don't know if you know, but you know, this 2026 is the start of a whole new numerologically number 1 year. It was the end of a 9-year cycle. And true as it was, I kid you not, everyone that was a part of my intimate circle from 9 years ago ended up in my apartment. One young lady was living with us. I mean, it was as if my past from 9 years ago just came and set up camp right here in my apartment, to the point where a man that my daughter had relationship with during that time moved into the apartment across from us. I couldn't believe it. Like, I can't make this stuff up, guys. I really can't. My past was here. And that's when I knew. I was like, okay, there is some major stuff going on here. And it did. That stuff started spiraling even faster because I was dealing with issues that I had not dealt with or even considered dealing with in 9 years. Like 9 years ago, I was smoking cigarettes. And then I found myself, I started smoking cigarettes again. Started drinking more. So that was about a month and a half that I was entangled in my past in such an incredible way. And I guess that could be another episode. But the tail end of that led into, it just destabilized the already unstable instability of my home, of our home. My son-in-law went back to jail. He was in jail at this time. Me and my daughter had such high hopes. Like when he got out, things were going to be different. We were going to get, everything was going to be, we were going to find some common ground. My daughter started, she took on a course for medical billing. I really kind of tried to hanker down in my studying. But when he got out of jail, what we thought was going to turn everything upright, facing the beautiful, bright, shining sun, did the exact opposite and flipped us upside down into darkness. So my son-in-law, one night, I'm sleeping, and the driveway into our parking lot for our apartments is right under my window. And I already have horrible I guess you could call it some level of PTSD with this driveway because my son was getting into a lot of altercations in this driveway underneath me. So I sleep lightly as it is, and so every noise, everything that happens, I'm like waking up out of my sleep. What's happening? What's going on? And this particular night, I heard. I woke up to two cars ramming into each other under my window. I jump up. One car is my daughter's car. Another car is a different female's car. And it was my son-in-law and this other female playing bumper cars. They weren't playing, but bumper cars, um, right underneath my window. And it terrified me. I jumped up. I told my daughter, "Oh my God, something going on with your car, with your husband." She jumps up. Uh, and then the young lady who was involved walked underneath our window. She was saying, like, you guys could get it. She was just talking a whole bunch of crap while she's walking under our window. And I'm like, why is she involving me? What do I have to do with it? And I'm going to let my daughter go into detail about that for herself. But from my window where the car parked, one car parked, that thought it was my daughter's car, I could tell that it was pretty messed up. So my daughter called the police. The police came out. She went outside. Well, it wasn't my daughter's car. It was the other girl's car. And that was that. But then my son-in-law and this young lady got into it, and her car actually got tore up pretty bad. So that was at like 2 o'clock in the morning. When the dust settled, we found out what happened. It was very devastating because, that's the only car that we had. And the emotional entanglement that my daughter was involved in that it hurt me. It hurt me deeply. So by 10:30 that morning, we were drinking. Patron. Yes, we were, y'all. It was that type of Saturday. And as I look back on it now, I'm still trying to piece together some stuff. The shock of hearing the cars crash into each other under my window hit me and terrified me more than I even actually realized at that moment. Having a drink was probably the best thing that I could do to calm myself, to keep me from literally, there goes the air again, I'm literally having some type of breakdown because of the many traumatic experiences I experienced during the middle of the night. The main one being my son being murdered in the middle of the night, not far from my window. So that was a whole for me, a real, okay, I'm splitting here. I literally felt myself splitting emotionally and mentally. So having a shot was like it brought me back together and kind of put me in some form of release for myself. However, for my daughter, it was not the same. Come early afternoon or mid-afternoon, she was totally out of control. I was on the verge. And somehow, either I'm missing time or I just wasn't outside, but somehow or another, a whole bunch of people showed up. My daughter came running up telling me that this other female was threatening me and talking all kind of mess about me. And I know the young lady. And so I'm like, wait a minute, hold on. Like, where's she at? I'll go talk to her myself. And I took off walking to go find her and go talk to her. Like, why are you mad at me? She saw me coming and drove off, went the other way, said she was going to get her mama. I don't know why she was going to get her mama. She had a problem with me. But anyway, I came back. And I remember walking back up the street and being surprised at how many people were outside. Like, I don't even know why it was that many people outside. I came upstairs and I went to sleep. I only know from what my son told me, and later on I'll get into what happened outside after I came in. But yep, I was done. And it was still quite sunny, so it had to be maybe, I'd say, maybe 4 o'clock, 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the afternoon. But I went to sleep. When I woke up, the house was dark, and I was just laying there. I was trying to figure out, like, okay, what happened? What I vaguely remembered coming upstairs to go to sleep, but everything was quiet. And the more I woke up and I tried to move, my left arm was numb. I could feel my fingertips tingling, but my arm itself was numb, and it terrified me. It literally terrified me. I was laying here. Now, I have a strong heart. My heart is strong. There was a point in 2024 where I had a physical and my heart rate was extremely low, to the point where they put me on an EKG machine in the clinic at my doctor's office. My heart was, they wanted to hospitalize me, but I'm like, I'm okay. I run, I do yoga, I meditate, I practice mindfulness, I do dynamic breathing, I do box breathing. So it was just, it was low at that time. And that came to my mind as I was laying in my bed. And so the only thing that I could think was and you know what, I vaguely remember my daughter calling me, or no, her husband calling me and saying something about a tow truck. That's all I remember. But it's very, very vague, very faint. So I text my youngest son, and I told him, I said, I may call an ambulance. My arm is numb. I may be having some stroke activity. I'm letting you know because you are the only one, if you're up, who checks their messages. And so he's like, okay, Mom, just, call me. Let me know if you need me to come over. So I laid here, and I started to panic a little. And I started feeling tightness in my chest. And I just laid here. And I breathed deep. I focused on my breathing. I did a whole bunch of stuff. I drank a lot of water that I had next to me. And I just, I focused on being still. My middle son came in and started rummaging around in the living room and rummaging around in the kitchen. But by the way he was moving, the sporadicness and the excitability and the way that he was moving, I did not want to deal with him. So I didn't say anything. I laid here stiff and still. I didn't say anything. I didn't know that my daughter was not here. I thought she was sleeping in the room with my granddaughter. He left. My arm loosened up. I did a little bit of stretching, and I dozed back off to sleep. At around 4, my daughter called. And she said, Mom, I need you to tell my brother, my other son, to come pick me up. I'm like, where are you? I said, where are you? Pick you up from where? She said, I'm on the freeway. I'm on the side of the road. I've been here for hours. I've been here since like 10. And what? So she had given my granddaughter to my other son and had planned to go commit suicide. I didn't find out till later on that she had got into it with she actually had the conversation with the young lady that was in the car banging cars with my son-in-law. They actually had a conversation. They actually talked. That was a good thing. But she got into it with my other son, with my oldest son. They got into an altercation about the car, and their relationship is very volatile. Very, very volatile. And whatever triggered in my daughter's mind, she decided she was done. And she jumped in the car. This is what she's telling me on the phone at 4. She jumped in the car and she was heading towards the mountains. And she was going to drive off the mountain. If I understand correctly, if I remember correctly, she's going to drive off the mountain. She's going to kill herself. And she's telling me this, and I'm saying, why? Like, you can't, what about, your baby? And her response was, y'all got her. Y'all got her. She'll be fine. I'm done. And she said, well, that's what I was going to do. But the car auto-corrected itself, pulled over to the side of allowed her to, it drove itself over to the side of the freeway and died. It literally ran out of gas and the battery died at the same time as soon as it got on the side of the freeway. I couldn't believe it. And I said, well, why didn't you call a tow truck? Well, she called her insurance and there was a lapse of some kind of glitch in her payment going through and all these things. So they weren't going to send anybody. So she had been on the side of the freeway for God knows 4 or 5 hours waiting for help. But she actually fell asleep. So I got in touch with my other son and his wife. And they went to go get her. They had my granddaughter. They went to go get her. I'm in here. I'm in tears. I'm shocked. I'm like, what in the world happened? What in the world is going on? So my son, my middle son, my oldest son comes in and he's on one. And he starts ranting and raving about how stupid she is, how dumb, how drunk she was, all this stuff, and how they got into it and how he kept pushing her and pressing her buttons. I mean, he's literally telling me that he was antagonizing her because of how stupid she was acting. But she was drunk. She was severely drunk. But he kept pushing her, kept asking for the keys. And I kept saying, but why were you doing that to her? I'm trying to keep everything cool because he could flip on me at any time, and I knew it. And I was really concerned about my heart and my arm. And so I had to explain to him what happened the night before or the morning before with the car crashing underneath my window. He didn't know about that part. He didn't know what led up to my daughter getting so drunk and being so drunk and acting the way she was. So we're talking. I'm trying to explain this to him, trying to get him to calm down because I know that my other son is bringing my daughter home. And that was them meeting and clashing. I just knew it was going to be horrible. I was, with everything in my being, I was hoping that she was some type of sober because of how irate and out of control he was. And I tried to change the subject, and I said, well, just so that you know, my arm was numb when I woke up, and I started explaining to him, and he went off on me. I've been here all this time, and why you didn't tell me? Well, I was like, well, I'm fine now. And he's, I thought he was leaving. I don't know what made him walk to the front door, but he immediately stopped what he was saying, walked straight to the front door, and opened it as my daughter was coming up the stairs holding my granddaughter. And he said something along the lines of, "You're a stupid bitch," or something along those lines. It's raining, 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. She's been on the freeway all night. She's still drunk. This is what he throws in her face as she's coming up the stairs. And that was it. My daughter flipped out on him. They flipped out on each other. My middle son is in trying to get in between them, trying to tell him, leave her alone, bro, leave her alone. You don't even understand. You don't even know what all she went through. Why not leave her alone? But they were going at it for hours. He wouldn't shut up. He wouldn't let her go in her room. It was total mayhem for hours. He would not shut up. And she's still drinking. She had a can of Voodoo Ranger or something. She was still drinking. And I'm trying to get him to shut up. I'm trying to keep my granddaughter calm. And he's just amping her up more and more and more. Then he disappear, go outside, come back in. Then she's yelling at me. My daughter was having a literal meltdown. When he left, she started talking to me, started calming down, and I will let her to go into detail about, like I said, about her part. But she finally got to the point where she was like, Mom, I'm done. I'm finished. I don't want to live anymore. And I said, but baby girl, why? And so she's still grieving, still hurt, still stuck on the night that my son, her brother, was murdered. This is 15 years ago. She was eyewitness. She was right there. But she was too drunk to identify the shooter. She never told that to anyone. She's been holding it in all this time. His birthday was February 22nd. So it was like this happened not even a month or so after his birthday. And in front of me, my daughter is literally breaking down. Like, Mom, I was too drunk. I was too drunk to even get in and try and stop them from beating him up. She was going through, and I'm saying it, it's over. It's over. And I'm saying these words out of my mouth, but I know in her, deep in her soul, it's not over. Like, my baby girl was still in this horrible grip of grief and self-loathing and anger and guilt. And she was broken. In that moment, I saw her broken to pieces, to the point where she's ready to die, ready to leave this beautiful little girl who's only 2 years old, ready, just done. And for me, so our relationship, as close as we are, I told you, she's been my mother. She's been my sister. She's been my best friend. She's been an aunt. Like we have this dynamic, like we're this dynamic duo for so long. And for the first time, I saw her, a side of her that I didn't know existed. She has been my rock. She has been, my support. And to see her standing in front of me saying, Mama, I don't want to live anymore. It cut me, just shredded me, because there's nothing I could do. And if you listen to episode 1, I explained how I have been the fixer of everything and everyone my entire life. When I was in high school, and I had a friend that kept getting into it with her mother. She called me and asked me to come over and sit and talk with them so that they could make their relationship better. I was in 9th grade, fixing things and helping people fix themselves is what I do. It's something that I was born into. And here I have my baby, my daughter in front of me, and there's nothing I can do about it. And while we're having this conversation, my youngest son, who I was pregnant with when the murder happened, he's sitting right here. And for 15 years old, he is very wise and very aware. And he's trying to console her. Like, sis, you got to forgive yourself, And she kind of calmed down some. But then my other son came in and that started up again. And she flew into a rage to a point where it was raining. She tried to push him down the stairs, the slick stairs in the rain. She kept trying to push him out. I mean, they got into a literal physical altercation. Till she finally threw the car keys at him, told him, take the car. I don't want the car anymore. He gave the car to her. I don't want it anymore. Take the car. Get out my house. Get out my life. And he finally left. And then she calmed down, but then amped right back up and attacked my youngest son, my 15-year-old, the one who's watching this whole thing, trying to keep everybody calm, trying to be the wise male voice. Like at 50 years old, he's literally getting in between her and his older brother. He's trying to make sure I'm okay. And she flipped on him and started trying to kick him out. And so that threw me. So we're in the living room, y'all, and she's trying to get him, and I'm in between them. And she's saying, get out, get the fuck, get out of my house. And I'm saying, big girl, you can't throw him out. This is his house. And then she rushed me. And somehow she rushed him. I got in between them. We flipped. We're all standing. And I pushed her down on the couch, and I ended up flying over onto the couch that was next to it. And my son is standing over her, like telling her, stop it. You need to stop. You need to stop, stop, stop. She looked over at me, threw her phone at me. It clipped me in my neck, came up and clipped my chin and flew behind me onto the floor behind the couch. And before I knew it, my youngest son was going after, jumping towards her, and I leaped out of the couch, off the couch, and slid my way in between them. She's on the couch, her back's on the couch, and I'm trying to keep them apart. And she's trying to, she's flailing her arms and everything. And out of nowhere, over my shoulder, my youngest son just punches her right in the eye. Blam! And it was in like, you see on TV, right? Is that how they do the slow motion? That's what it looked like in my head. I just seen his hand coming. Pow! He hit her, and she grabbed her eye and rolled over a little bit. And I'm like, I'm screaming at this point. I'm literally screaming. My daughter-in-law happened to step outside her apartment down from us, and she came to the door, and she opens the door, and the three of us are in this dynamic right here, and I'm saying, go get my son, go get my son. She went and got my other son, and he flies in there, and he, at this point, my arm is going numb. It felt like a gorilla was sitting on my chest, and I'm on the floor, and I'm telling him, just make them stop. Just make them stop. And it, it was horrible, y'all. It was horrible. I finally got, the pain went away, the heaviness went away, and she finally calmed down and passed out. But to sit there, not sit there, but to be involved in something like that, an entire day of fighting and yelling and screaming between my children, and I'm helpless. I couldn't stop them. I couldn't make them stop. And then to get to the end where my baby boy hits his sister, and when I was able to turn around and I slid down on the floor, he slid right up next to me, and he was just so broken. He was terrified for me because I thought I was going to have a stroke. And he's holding me, and he said, Mama, please be okay. Mama, please be okay, Mama. And I'm holding him, and I'm saying, we're okay. We're okay. We're okay. We're okay. That, aside from having my son die at my feet with half of his face blown off, that with my baby son holding on to me, was a mother's worst nightmare. Because I'm literally watching my family fall apart. Devastating. Devastating. Even now, I'm still shaking as I share this with you. This is real. I'm telling you. There's no name for the emotion that I was going through. No name for it. It was, and I'm still, I wake up. I wake up in the middle of the night. I wake up to the screaming and the yelling in my ears. I wake up. And my youngest son, he has never punched anyone. He is not a fighter. He is the wise one. He is the soft one. And for him, that the next night, he went home to get ready to go to bed. He went into the kitchen, opened the refrigerator. An apple fell off of the top of the refrigerator. He opened the freezer. The apple fell off of the top of the refrigerator, and knee-jerk type of response of the apple, he hit himself in the eye over with the freezer door, the same eye that he punched his sister. Can y'all imagine that? I can't make this up. He said that he would come and talk on the video too, so hopefully he will share his part. I have never seen karma, if you like, if however you want to call it. Never seen anything happen like that so quickly. He called me, he explained what happened to me. And then he came the next morning, and I was like, oh, wow. Wow. Amazing. That fast. He said, Mama, I never hit anybody in my life. I hit my sister, and then I get hit. And then I hit myself. Wow. That was the beginning of my total breaking. The beginning of it. I have something else that happened after that that I will share in the next episode in part 3. Friends, family, I don't know if you have ever experienced anything like that within your household. And if you have, please hear me. I am so sorry that you had to go through that, because I know for myself, I would not wish that on anyone, especially if you're a mother or a father that has had to endure watching your children fight. Mothers, is a lot different. Fathers, you hurt as well. If it's you and your any type of, I think, marital fighting like that, that's a totally different thing. But to watch your children engage in such anger, hatred, animosity towards one another is unbearable. And it broke me. It really broke me. I realized that that fantasy that I had started off talking about, that fantasy life, that happiness and the love and the joy that I thought we were moving into when we moved here, absolutely not. This has devastated me. Now I see that the foundation of my family life was so absolutely faulty. Absolutely faulty. And it stems from me and my husband's relationship and the relationship that we had within his family, because we were not able to do what we planned to do with our marriage and our children. That's a totally different topic. I'm broken. I've been through many things. Not even the murder of my son broke me. It didn't break me. It couldn't. I was pregnant. I had to be strong. I had to keep moving forward. But this, I am broken. And I'm not trying to fix myself. I'm not. I said in episode 1, there's no more fixing. There's no more repairing. I realized I had someone tell me that I'm human. And I realized that I'm human. And as a human, I am broken. And I am allowing myself to be broken. I will heal. I am healing, talking with you, sharing this. I am healing, but I am not healing in the place where I want to fix everything and I want to mend everything. No, there's no fixing and there's no mending. And I say that with all the conviction that I have as a mother, as a grandmother, and as me. I'm not fixing anything. Letting the dust settle. Then I will figure out what is the best way to begin again. Not to rebuild. I do not want to rebuild anything. No more rebuilding. The structure, the foundation has been destroyed. You know, once again, I see a big wrecking ball coming and a demolition crew and just tear that great big ball just going into a building and just leveling it. That's where I am. Everything is leveled. And there is no putting old beams back together. There is no mixing cement in the middle of with no, everything is being disposed of because it's broken and it's destroyed and it's of no use anymore. That's where I am right now. And I'm fine with it. I am broken. And I'm kind of happy. All the old stuff is gone. It's very painful. I'm still hurting, of course. But now I see clearly the fantasy that I thought was my life, the love, the unity, the cohesiveness that I thought was mine with my family. It's not. It's not. And I'm fine with that knowledge. I'm fine with it. Well, that's enough for today. I've talked enough. Thank you for enduring. Thank you for staying with me till the end. And it's not over because I have something else to share tomorrow or maybe later today. I don't know, but it'll be soon. It has to be because we're doing a video. But if you're experiencing something like this or have recently, or maybe you feel like something like a total annihilation of what you thought was your reality coming your way, let it happen. Let it happen. It's time for, oh wow. I just saw, you know, the commercials with the Epstein files and how they show all these files and everything and all the disclosures and everything that's coming out. It's time, everything is breaking down now. We're seeing it in politics. We're seeing it in the government. We're seeing it all around all the structures that have been up in the church's religion. Everything is crumbling now. And I did a video a while ago, last year, called Let It Crumble. Let it crumble. It's time for things that are built on faulty foundations or upon faulty premises to come down. Period. And if you are there, know that I am standing right by your side. I will hold your hand. I will hold you as your crumbling takes place. Know that I'm here. Know that I am here. You can reach out to me, Revelations with a Z, HET, at gmail.com. Or you can even leave a message on the YouTube channel. I don't care. Or you can DM me on Instagram, asha.zalika. I'm here. And in my pain and my sorrow, I have learned that the greatest thing that I can do in this state is to share my love and my strength with others. So know that I'm here and I'm willing to help. I love you. I appreciate you. Take care of yourself and please come back.